This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, of every month, of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Alright, time to step out the office.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, maybe I just missed the memo. I should go to the meeting room. Where is it again?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Oh yeah, it's on the left, I think. There we go.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling
What?
a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Alright, let me go to the boss's office. Maybe I can find some answers. Push for funding for RTD of new coffee machine. What? Huh. Get Chris out of the broom closet. Ongoing. Synergize papers. Hire someone to synergize papers. Papers are too synergized. Fire paper guy. Hire someone to fire the paper synergizing guy. Who moved my desk? Interesting. The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Meeting room, floor 4XX. Alright, let's go see the boss man. And, oh? Hello? Chris? You in here, buddy?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Huh. No Chris. Weird. Well, maybe someone else let him out.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, here we go. Is this the boss man's room? Hey, boss man, you in here?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
I wonder what the code to the keypad is? There's got to be a clue
Stanley
somewhere
just sat
here.
around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Well, let me ask around. Maybe someone else knows what the
2845.
It's locked. All right, let's just try out all the combinations.
But it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself.
What the?
And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Oh, hey, it opened. Well, there you go. Maybe just open on its own or something? It's odd. Whatever. What the hell is this place? Boss man? You down here? Oh. Okay.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Whoa. Mind control facility. What's that all about? It can't possibly be true.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Oh.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Oh, no.
Did he have the strength to find out?
What horrible secrets did this place hold? Not sure I want to find out. But I guess it's too late for that. Too late to back out. Are these television screens? Oh.
Now the monitors jumped to life,
Whoa.
their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
What the hell? Keeping tabs on all of us? It can't be right.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Are all these people under mind control? Am I under mind control?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
No, it can't be.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I can't let this go on. Gotta dismantle this thing, once and for all. Mind control's idle, awaiting input. Well, now hold on a minute. Maybe controlling other people's minds It's not the worst idea.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
What's going on?
I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do.
Is it working?
You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine.
That's not good.
You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Didn't work.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers
Why didn't it work?
A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off?
Yes.
Look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley.
What are you doing?
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble.
I'm sorry.
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley.
No.
That's 30 seconds you have
Please.
left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever.
No.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Alright, Mr. Narrator, I'm sorry. Here, let me make it up to you.
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had
Puzzles?
his co-workers gone?
Oh.
How had he
Well.
been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For
Not
it
really.
was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel.
Yeah.
Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Finally. Freedom.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Yeah.
And Stanley was happy.
I am happy. Oh. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Nah.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring.
Hey.
It had really been worth the detour
break room.
after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
It's pretty nice.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Wait, what's this though? What is that?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
This is a tall table. Oh. A4. Don't mind if I do. Oh. Needs a key card. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. Will cause death. This cargo lift?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why,
Well,
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it.
Not interested.
Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
I don't know about this. Red's usually a bad thing. Nah, I'm not gonna fall for it.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
No. I said no.
I still don't think we're communicating properly.
What?
Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Thank you.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map.
What?
Because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth
Well,
ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Okay. What is it?
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Not really.
Oh, well, now this is useful. You didn't like it, but you didn't totally hate it either. You enjoyed it.
Sure.
Perhaps is the correct term. It didn't cause you excruciating pain.
Nah.
Big steps we've made here today, Stanley. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Go on. Worldwide leaderboard. What? Where am I? Where? Oh. What? No, that can't be right. Objectively ranked. What? What does that even mean? Objectively ranked. What? Hey, now. There's no need for that. Hey. Well, it's obviously not an actual dead rat. What is this timer? Alright. Stop timing me. I'll go.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
You serious? No.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
Sure.
Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter,
It's
well,
not
I
a
don't know what
baby.
to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done.
What?
It's over.
What do you mean?
Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since
Hold on
my
a
game
minute.
was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
I'm sure anything's better than this.
Seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory?
Lighthouse?
What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians.
Is this
below
the Outer
you,
Wilds?
up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Hey, I mean, this game is already more engaging than your crappy little game. I'm already interested to know more. Hello? Oh, okay. Gotta go around, I guess.
Oh, no. No, it can't be.
What? What are you up to?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
What?
Oh,
Hold on a minute.
thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call.
It's not always a bad
We
thing.
wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow.
Yeah.
You can just go in any...
What's wrong with that?
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
No. Hold on. I'm not done with this game.
Hey, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just
Rocket
a nice
League?
big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to
No.
get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
You're supposed to drive around in a car.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Okay, no, you don't understand. You're supposed to be driving a car, not Oh. Okay.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my
Kinda.
miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley,
Kind
I
of.
thought, and
Go
I
on.
realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if...
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Oh. I don't know. What do you... Oh?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you.
What?
How will you write
do you
a
mean?
story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Oh? Hello? Oh. What? What is this? Hello? What? Mr. Narrator, are you... Where'd you go, Mr. Narrator? Uh-oh. I've got a bad feeling about this. Hey, 427. What? Hello? What? What's going on? Hello?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it, down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Her?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Who? What are you talking about?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your...
Hello?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha.
What?
Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Excuse me? What? Did you say death?
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Did I?
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Fine. I won't do it. I'm not gonna do it. I won't do it. It's not gonna happen. Nope. I'm not gonna fall for it. I'm good. Alright, fine.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Maybe I want to kill myself.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I...
Cool.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
What? Oh!
Oh, new content.
What is this?
What does that mean, new content?
I don't know. You tell me. You're the one who put it here. Let's go see this new Oh. Here we go.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you
Hello.
may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Oh yeah.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Cool.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Sure.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Oh,
Is it broken?
it's not moving.
What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere? Oh, there we go.
Oh.
All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Exciting.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them...
All right.
Okay.
Give it a minute.
Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Here we go. It's gonna be good. Oh, the jump
All
circle.
right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Oh, you can jump. Oh, cool. Oh, I'm not. Okay. Well, that's it for the jumps.
Is that it?
No,
Surely that's not
there's
all
more.
new content. There has to be something else, right?
There's got to be something.
Goodness, another elevator.
Can't be just a jump
I
button.
have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more.
Yeah.
Very good.
See?
Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see.
Calm down.
I'm ready for whatever it is.
Oh.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality
What?
assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated
Unbelievable.
and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable.
Please
It's
do.
my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never
Nah,
have
it's
lived up
alright,
to such
man.
expectations.
You
If
couldn't
you're
have
still
known.
with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Alright. Here. Hey. What? Where'd the roof go? Hello? What?
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something.
What is it? Hello? Mr. Narrator? Are you down here? What is going on? What happened in the office? Hello?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me
Yeah.
thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I
Well-
made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
What is this?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences
Right.
like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then,
Sure.
it all meant something. Oh,
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah, those were the days. Back when developers actually cared about their games. Not just the money. Good times. Oh. Huh.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all.
Well,
It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just
hey,
a
come on.
husk.
It's not that bad.
A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Still, could be worse. Oh. What's this? Maintenance? Okay.
Here's another moving passage, this
Oh.
time from GameSpot.com.
Okay.
The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest
Suppose.
of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Repeatable carpet textures. Cool. Excuse me. There's some boxes in the way. It's awkward. How do we go back up? Oh.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Oh.
What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on.
What?
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's
Oh.
down here?
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
no. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years.
Oh, God.
I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
No, don't look. Don't even bother. It's not worth.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Hey man, don't worry about him. Don't let him get to you, man. Haters will be haters, all right? Don't listen to him. Let's just move on and carry on.
Okay, let's see what this one says.
No,
Well, the idea
don't.
for the game is good. No. For someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can.
Not really.
This is actually quite shocking for me.
Preachy isn't the first thing
Well, to be honest, I have
call you.
always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut
Sure.
from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel
Right.
like a failure. Like
What?
I let these people down.
Nah,
Perhaps the
no,
Stanley
man.
Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Nah, don't worry about it, man. It's good.
What's this?
Don't
one
listen to-
say?
Don't-
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button?
Well,
Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm
Yeah.
truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes,
Yeah?
a skip button we shall have.
all right, man. It's not. I mean, it's not the worst idea.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very
Right.
proud to have delivered. No more
Sure.
listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the
Right.
people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit
Mm-hmm.
around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here,
Oh.
we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes
Yeah.
something like this.
the story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So,
Okay, I'm gonna
now
press
you
the
see,
button
blah,
now.
blah, 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 blah.
Oh, you're
Hello?
back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthful that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go.
Fair enough.
Treatise, manifesto. 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 Treatise, manifesto.
Look, if you're gonna take if this is gonna take a long time, I'm just gonna skip.
Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button.
Yeah.
The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works.
Yeah.
Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine, after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes. I think that's quite likely.
Sure.
Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I'd even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Yes? Hello? Oh.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Oh.
It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again.
Oh,
I think the
all right.
skip button has been aptly
Hey,
demonstrated.
where'd the
and we
door
can say
go?
goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out
Yeah,
of here?
where
Where
did
did the door go?
where's the door?
Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
Yeah.
I don't feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't
This
think
can't be
that
right.
one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and
There's
to
a vent.
please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear
There was.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there
No.
any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll
No,
take any
man.
option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door, as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door.
Okay.
I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please.
Well-
Please do not press the skip button. Just
Wait.
Wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Well, how long are you gonna take? I can't wait for you here forever. Hello? Ah, fuck it. What's the worst that could happen?
Stanley,
Huh?
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours.
What?
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer.
12
but they're
hours?
Really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
How? How's it
I've looked at
gone?
it from every angle.
What
I've checked
happened?
every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child. Wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken. If only it
Look,
pleases
man,
this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't
What?
get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as
Mr. Narrator,
as
you're-
a child, wild and impulsive. I can't
You're
help
repeating
it.
yourself, Mr.
I
Narrator.
can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to
Alright,
change and
sorry
to
about this.
anything Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Huh? Oh, goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2
Weak.
I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley, not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single
All right,
thing
all right.
I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that
Yeah.
I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley,
I can hear you, man.
if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying.
Sure.
I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah,
You can
sure.
see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored. And already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it. To think of returning to such coldness. Come. Let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Okay. We'll be silent together. No worries. Are you still there? Mr. Narrator? Are you... I think he's gone.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track. after a year. Have you ever sat down
Year?
in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
Not really.
To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months, I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now, for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid, as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Hello? Narrator. Hello? It's me, I'm back. Did you miss me? How long has it been now, huh? 5 years? 10? Hello? Narrator, I know you're listening. Alright, fine. Have it your way. What? What's that noise? Narrator? Alright, that's not fun anymore. Turn that off.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. Then, he's talking too much, they say. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As as though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find the resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity. They cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truly these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be they were so discontent with themselves, they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they saw some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amused them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand that the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. Where are the...
Hello? Are you finished now, narrator? Hello? Are you kidding me? He's gone again? Narrator? If you don't show up right now, I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna press that skip button. Oh? What was that? Is that water? Alright.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
Okay.
is never the
Is there water above this place? Is it starting to flood? Maybe. Alright. Well, there's no door here. There's no way out. So, just keep skipping and hope for the best. Oh. Okay. Not exactly the way out we were hoping for. Oh? Hey. Daylight. Still no way out, though. Oh. Vegetation. Cool. Still no way out, though. Where did all the plants go? Damn it. Hello? Someone out there? Narrator? Oh. Uh-oh. What? Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh no, what happened? Oh God, no. Narrator? Anybody? Oh God, why? What happened?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-killing, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, or call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Nope.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. So soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes. A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Oh. Oh. What? Oh.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along.
Really?
He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Me? Not really. Oh.
Yeah. In that case, we'll continue.
All right.
But now, here comes the real question.
Yes.
What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now, think about it. Would it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones, though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who is listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Okay, fine. Oh. Yeah. Alright. I'm ready to go back now. Hello? Take me back. Alright, I'm sorry. I get it. Come on, man. It's not even funny anymore. Alright.
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
What's with all the papers? We doing this again?
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Okay. Are we gonna have proper new content now? Because this I'd like to see. This better be good, narrator. No skip rooms this time.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Whoa, what? Really?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel.
But
an entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why there are so many possibilities?
That's gonna be a lot of work, man.
Different directions.
Yeah.
This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Whoa. Alright, but yeah, like I said, it's sequel has a lot to live up for compared to a remake or remaster, you know?
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe?
Sure,
what does
but
it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Yep. Hmm.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be. But let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Yeah. I guess, in a way,
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Like what? Merch? The shirt is the new best feature. Office decorations. Reassurance bucket. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Whoa. Hey, that sounds neat. Sure. Hear your name in the game. Okay.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people.
Sure.
So with that in mind, my first
Among
addition
other
to the
things.
game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Sure. Sounds too good to be true, if you ask me. Let's give it a try.
Jim.
Sorry,
no.
I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Oh.
But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is.
Right.
Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay,
all right.
Here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
I am
want you to
Jim.
imagine yourself living as Jim.
I am Jim.
Sleeping and waking as Jim.
I am Jim.
Falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim.
I am
Seizing
Jim.
all of the world's possibilities as Jim. And as
Yes.
Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust.
I am Jim.
Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then
Yes.
please step forward and press the button.
Alright. Here I am. My name is Jim, and I will press the button.
Jim.
Hey!
Yes!
That's
you
my name.
see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you!
Yeah.
The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Huh? Oh, sure.
Jim.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were
Yeah.
the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Alright. Fair enough.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Yeah. Red is the new orange. Hello? Whose phone is that? New updated ray traced more of the same, but in a good way, sequel to the... Oh, the jump circle. Infinite hole. Alright. Let's check out the reassurance bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket
Sure.
is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Okay. Oh?
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person.
Oh,
The benefits
really?
of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Alright.
Does anyone give
Cool.
out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Well... 12th birthday balloon in a office space is kind of weird. So, this one, I guess?
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Okay. Well, sure, man. Whatever makes you comfortable. Yeah. I don't know why...
Maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
Okay. If you say so.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh,
Well, I didn't...
I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
I didn't think it would carry over. Come on, that's lame. You gotta make it like infinite jumps, right? If you put limits on jumps, then you're gonna make a lot of people upset. Free achievement. Ooh. Okay. Collectibles. The infinite hole. Pull the lever, receive your new achievements. Okay. It just works.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Alright, we gotta work better on the whole delivery thing. Can't just make people expect something and then snatch it away at the last second.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
There is this one. Collectibles. What are we collecting?
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Alright. That's fair. 1 out of 6. Okay. Neat. Oh. It's all empty now. Alright.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video
game,
and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely.
Why is the exit blocked? What? Okay, let's go this way, I guess. The infinite hole. Huh. Interesting.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game.
No.
This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling.
Really?
You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Okay. Neat. Alright, is that it? Is that all the bonus content? Yeah. I think I'm ready to go now. I guess we have to go back the way we came in from. Oh, wait. What? It's locked. Hey, narrator, can you let me out, please? think I'm done here. I've seen all I needed to see. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Ah, exit this way. There we go.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Think so.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Go for it.
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
There
Hold
is
on.
some
Let me do a
potential.
different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything.
Yeah.
I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Whoa. Alright. That's pretty neat. Let's give it a shot.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Oh.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Didn't notice the bucket. Cool.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here.
Nope.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Uh-huh.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Alright. So what's down here?
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Oh.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed.
Oh,
Without
gracious.
my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it
Bucket?
truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by
Where
one
are you,
bucket
Bucket?
after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Comfort.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yep. Huh. Interesting.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping in.
Later, sucker. Ha. I'll teach you. Try to tell me what to do. Can't control me now, narrator. I don't need you anymore. I'm going back to work. No one's gonna tell me otherwise. Oh, what's this? Hello? You are now leaving. Oh. Escape Pod Bay, floor 760. Alright. Don't mind if I do. Get me out of here. The sooner the better. It's just you and me now, Bucket. Taking on the whole world. Nobody can stop us. Hello? Oh! Is this it? Is this the escape pod? You have served me well, Bucket. Thank you. I shall miss you dearly.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting.
The bucket is gone!
Or a photo. He could no longer
Oh my
recall.
god. The bucket went home. Alright, it's time for me to go home
Stanley
now.
came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
I'm gonna do the same. I will meet you, Bucket. You will not have to wait long. We will meet again.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping.
See ya. Alright. time we meet again, my friend. Oh, what? Okay. I thought there was gonna be a special... No. No special cutscene.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Hey, we got a replacement bucket now. Yeah, alright. Come with me.
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
Hey. That bucket, I gave that bucket freedom, alright?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Hey.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
Cool.
This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figures. Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
No, I'm not sure I like that one. I think we can come up with something better.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Nope.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Hello?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button, I'm having the time of my... After taking some time to show the bucket around the boss's office, Stanley at last went to the keypad, where he began eagerly pressing the number 3 again and again.
Okay. Oh.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Alright. Time to press 3 again.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close, they'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be? Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Oh.
For months he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life. This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Yeah.
There was no one here.
Oh, what?
Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him
Hello?
talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting. He was a failure. And in that
Wait a
moment,
minute.
Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
No,
There
what?
would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They
No.
spoke less and less.
No, Bucket,
neither
please.
wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be
but-
no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days?
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Nope.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
See it.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Oh. What? But the bucket is still here.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Oh. Now it's gone. What? The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? I don't know, man. I'd have to see it first. What kind of exhibit is this?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Well, can't really argue with you there. Bucket with two handles. This bucket is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Oh no, how horrible. All they want to do is make the world a better place. Whoa, 25 buckets. A photograph of 25 buckets? That's not 25. 2,500, maybe. The greatest number of buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. Incredible. Inferno bucket. A replica of the Inferno bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. Wow. It's amazing. The stress bucket, an analogy. Stress equals the level of water in the bucket. Vulnerability, the size and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies, the holes. The stress bucket. Presented without commentary. Oh. Okay. Well, we know the buckets predate the existence of mankind. We do not know by how long. This cave drawing depicts early man's discovery of the practical use of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. Okay.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
The hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes the necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear our grasp of the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good. Oh.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong.
Yes?
Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler.
Hold on a minute.
As commander of a new world, a new vision.
Alright then.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone, Finally! This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh. Is this... There's a check mark here. Okay. A large room with lots of boxes. Somewhere both red and blue. Yeah. A private but smelly place for an important person. Interesting. Okay. I know where one of these things are, but...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Not sure about the rest. Oh! Here?
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines. And now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
How about Stannigrines? Stannigrines. Okay, well, there you go. That's the smelly place. Smelly place for an important person, I guess.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
I can't fight this feeling. Alright.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
See ya.
Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
I tripped.
he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Oh.
Now, what to do next? Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here.
Okay.
So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here.
Yeah.
A bit cold, perhaps.
That's neat.
After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Okay then. Well, that's the end of that.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all? The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together.
Just the two of us.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Alright, fine.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oh, but what's this? Where does this lead?
Oh, good Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
What is this? Hey,
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
it's my wife.
We've come together here because we care about you very much.
Oh yeah?
It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket
What
isn't
about it?
even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the
So
ones
what?
that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know
No.
I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Adventure line.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Huh. That's pretty silly.
Now
Oh,
this
what?
is what the Stanley Parable is all about.
That's it?
Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also,
No.
Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's
not
do
that
it for the
funny.
fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
What? What do you mean by that?
Don't you get it, Stanley?
No.
We need to get rid of the bucket. That's
No.
why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No, not
Can
really.
you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Nope. Not gonna do it.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
No.
I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get
Don't
back
care.
to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now.
Nope.
The fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and crush. The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Huh.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
No. Not even going there. I'm going to somewhere entirely different. Hey! Would you look at that?
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figurines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them.
Yeah.
And now we have them all.
All
You
right.
can't go back to when you had no Figurines. None
No.
of us can.
No. Definitely not. But, you know, that's just how life works, man, you know? Oh, what's this? Hello? Oh. What is this? Hello? Narrator? Anybody? What?
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
hell was that?
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yeah, good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
It's not that dark. Oh, this darker? Okay. Oh.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home.
Nope.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone?
Because,
Were you trying to resist the bucket's order?
I won't answer.
Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley.
Oh.
A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness.
I don't know.
I really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it.
You
But there
sounded so
isn't
completely
exactly
different.
An instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's
What?
sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body.
Careful now.
These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Danny with funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Okay.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Okay. Well, I guess we got no choice here. Take me back.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure.
The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke.
Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already.
Oh, no.
No. What's going on? There
Not
were supposed
again.
to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing.
Hey, now.
I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling.
No, don't say that.
I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... It's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
All right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yeah, good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, but Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Why did that not work?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes, good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him, but Stanley feared that
Is
any
it not
path
working?
he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift, yes, good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk.
There we go.
But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
What do you mean?
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
Just open up the door.
So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
What? What do you want? What? I know what a bucket is.
I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Go on.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket,
What?
not an actual bucket.
How am I supposed to know that from there?
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of the bucket, not an actual bucket.
Come on, you're splitting hairs here.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
Good. So I thought.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest,
Good.
I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
I know what a bucket is. This is a waste of time. What?
Is this a bucket?
What? Again? No.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What? How? What do you mean? Explain to yourself.
Item 6.
What?
Is this a bucket?
Can't just say that this is a bucket and not elaborate. Yes?
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What? Both what? What? How? What?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
What?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh.
There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true, unless...
Well,
is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley.
Huh?
Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
No, of course not.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with.
Yeah.
I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry.
What?
But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No,
Okay.
no.
Here we go.
Wait, hold on a minute. Don't do it.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
You removed.
was everything a
You
bucket?
removed all
Every
buckets.
single thing in the game was a bucket.
You madman.
God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
I guess not.
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So,
Right.
tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And
Great.
we'll know that it's all a bucket. But
Yeah.
if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
Sure.
Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Alright, so maybe this.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Maybe this time we don't bring the bucket with us.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
It was okay.
Because I don't want to do that again.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
There we go.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Go on.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Yep.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now.
What?
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley?
Hey, what are you doing?
I wanted to stop.
Don't...
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think...
What's going on?
Well, I think I have a solution.
What are you doing?
Here, let me show you.
Huh? Hello?
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
What is that?
If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going?
I don't want that. What the hell is that?
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs.
What?
If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
What do you mean?
Please, Stanley.
Oh.
No!
Oh.
Thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a... No.
Yeah, me too.
No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
No, it's alright. I know what I'm doing. This time I won't... Oh, oops. Okay.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Well, it's not about keeping you happy. It's about what's right. Oh.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back. Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No, surely not. Stanley clutched the bucket.
Shit.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why,
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. And there it is.
Hey.
The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it.
Yep.
Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So,
Sure.
Instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can
Yep.
go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Yeah.
Stanley, I'm sorry,
Oh.
but I have to put a pause on things.
What?
It's those figurines. Those figglers.
What about
I
them?
haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness?
Oh,
Yes,
really?
I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Alright, sure. Why not? I remember like it was yesterday. Or today, really. Down here? Yeah.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Sure. Oh. 7 out of 6. Okay. Sure. Yeah, good times. Good times. Oh.
And here was a second Stanlerine. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Thanks.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Well, there's no figurine in the boss's office, so it was in the bathroom. I know that much.
No. The boss's bathroom was the 4th place you found a Figanley, not the 3rd.
What?
Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all just sort of blend together, don't they?
Sure,
if the
yeah.
boss's bathroom feels like the 3rd place you found a collectible, then who am I to go making judgments?
Was there even a collectible in the boss's room? I don't remember that.
Let's see. What came next?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we found a Figley in this pink room.
What?
Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember
No, we
being in this
didn't.
room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, okay, I remember this.
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse.
Yeah.
I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Did you know? Okay. Whoa. Is this Movie Maker, dude? It's pretty rad. Yep. There it is. Number 5. High five.
takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Alright. Oh, that's great. I'm happy for you. Oh. Here we go. Oh.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others.
True.
Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Sure. Yeah. Oh. 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 Where to now? Hello?
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done.
What?
I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Really? I mean, I think we've covered it. Do we really need to do more? Okay, they're just figurines.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this.
Yeah.
I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Okay.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Of course. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes, I love that video.
Sure. It's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley.
No.
Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
Yeah, sure. It's alright. Seen better.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So...
This was our second Figly. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
Oh, I mean...
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Well, a lot of things. Oh, yeah, the exhibit. Yeah, I remember this. This was the exhibit. And,
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on.
Yeah.
I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Okay. Well, we can always make more, you know?
Oh, yes! The two doors!
Oh.
Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Sure. You know what? Just for you, old friend, let's go left. Oh, it doesn't matter. Well.
And before everything else, there was your office.
Yep.
Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then, somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He
What?
would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go.
What do you mean came up?
I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley?
What?
Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But
No.
I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story.
Excuse me?
So very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Oh? What's this? Awaiting input. Oh? Oh! I made it. This is heaven? Are these all people, or what? Oh, buttons! Right. Ooh. Ooh. Is there a specific pattern I'm supposed to follow, or? I'm confused. Hold on, let me quickly check the guide here. The fuck? Hold on. Are you kidding me? Okay, continue reading until I have to sign in? What kind of bullshit is this? I don't know what to do here. Oh, I had to reset the game. Okay. Okay. What? Phone. Whose phone is that? Oh.
Good morning.
Hello.
Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We
What
are
the?
confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Cool. 1,000 cardboard boxes. Sign me up, coach.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them.
Let's take the bucket with us to heaven. Is this bucket heaven? Hold on now. I don't want no trouble, fellas. I come in peace.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
All right. No, still can't figure that one out. Something to do with a blue room or something? I don't know. Eventually it's gonna open up, I don't know.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Yep.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone.
Oh.
What could it mean? Stanley
There we
decided
go.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had
426.
memo.
Ah, there we go. The whiteboard ending. Huh. Oh, okay. That's it. Whiteboard ending. Dog mode activated. Whatever that means. Should we take... Nah.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alright.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety...
Look, man.
So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
What? No, I don't want music. Open up the door. Seriously? Come on, man. I've been listening to you for...
Soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
It's been 4 fucking hours listening to you, man. Give me a break. Now suddenly your feelings are hurt? Whatever, man. Alright. Down we go. This time...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
This time we're going to do the escape ending without the bucket.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Pretty much. Alright. And... Go.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Goodbye. Thanks for everything. Oh.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh. Or not.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
No. What are you talking about? I'm not dead. I'm right here. You're not making any... Oh. Hello? Oh. Oh. So that's dog mode. Right. Well, that's fun. Anything noteworthy here? Let's see. What's this? Narration outtakes.
And finally, he pushed the number 9.
Oh? Recorded download of entire game roughly.
Now, this elevator for sure would get him right back on track to where he was supposed to be in the story. When Stanley came to the lift, he traveled upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever.
Okay. Sure.
And finally, he pushed the number 9. Stanley pushed the big red button. Stanley pushed the orange lever. Stanley pushed the big red button. Still nothing? I don't know. Well, in that case, I'll tell you what, you win. Congratulations. You did it. I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Alright then. Good stuff. Where else do we go? Hello? What? Countdown desk. Okay. Is it not... Oh! Oh. It's just for show. Alright. What we got here? More behind the scenes stuff. Stanley's of... Oh! Oh. Okay. Can we go inside? Oh. Okay. Yep. Narrator emails. Oh. Emails from real people to the narrator. to the real narrator. Huh. Okay. After the second trailer, some of you asking which questions initially. Okay. Cool. Yeah, alright, I think I'm done here. Ready to call it a day.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
What? You talking about me, or...?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
Who?
No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
What are you...
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
What?
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
Hey, I did it. I did it. I'm finally free. I can